Alrighty, well hello everybody and welcome to Odoo Live. Thanks for coming here to sit with us today. My name is Todd Farnham, Community Manager here at Odoo San Francisco. And joining me is Business Advisor and Resident Odoo Expert, Nathan Moss.
Hey everyone.
And he will be discussing manufacturing and traceability explicitly, right?
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, we're excited to have you here, man.
Yeah, so today's presentation will take about 30 minutes or so. Should leave us about 20 minutes for Q&A session at the very end where we can touch on basically any app in Odoo. So fire away there.
Absolutely. And throughout the throughout the demonstration, we will be answering your questions in real time, functional, and technical. And as well, if you want to review this video at any time, just go ahead and copy the link above. And if you would like to subscribe to our channel to find out more information for future webinars, go ahead and click that subscribe button down there. And as well as if you have any questions throughout the presentation, actually, we will be answering them in the chat box to the right, and we'll have a Q&A session, as Nathan mentioned, at the end. And yeah, that's pretty much the big stuff.
Also, if you want to schedule a personalized demonstration with me, we can have a kind of one-on-one session there. The link is odoo.com/r/Nathan. We'll be sure to put it in the chat at the very end today. But yeah, simply put, odoo.com/r/Nathan.
Beautiful. I think that's pretty much most about it. You know, we have webinars every single Wednesday, so if you'd like to stay up to date with all of the new information and releases and some more functional and technical information, always tune in on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern. And with that, I think we can get started.
Perfect. Thanks, Todd. And hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. Before beginning, I'd like to better explain the differing roles here at Odoo as usual. So my role here as a business advisor is to help customers with their evaluation of the software. I help customers by understanding the softwares that they're using today, the pain points associated with those, and then demonstrating how their current operations could be a little bit better organized in Odoo and better streamlined there. I answer questions about specific functionality within the software as well as best practices for implementation on our side of things. Also have a department of functional consultants who specifically handle the implementation side of Odoo, specifically Odoo online projects, I should say. Once evaluations are completed and a customer is onboarded, the next step is to work with their team to get your data into the system, make sure your applications are configured correctly to your workflows, and through one-on-one dedicated consulting, it's their goal to get you up and running with your core applications as quickly as possible. Usually lasts anywhere between 1 and 4 months, depending on the size and scope of the project. Again, if you'd like to learn some more about Odoo, you can schedule a session of one-on-one consulting with me just by going to odoo.com/r/Nathan. Okay. So the agenda for our webinar session today is as follows. We're just going to do a general inventory overview. We'll do a little bit of purchasing in our products from our vendors. We'll also do a manufacturing overview today, so just lightly going through our work centers and our routing. But specifically what we're going to do is we're going to track our serial numbers and lot numbers of all of our components all the way through our finished products. So we'll purchase in these raw materials. We'll go through manufacturing using these raw materials to create a finished product. Then we'll actually sell that finished product to a customer. We'll be able to track the lots and serial numbers all the way through. Okay, so let's see. Then, of course, time permitting, opening up to the Q&A at the end of the session. Okay, so before actually beginning, lots are useful for products you receive in great quantity. Lot number can definitely help as far as reportings goes, quality control. Lots will help identify a number of pieces. For instance, if you have a production fault, can be useful for a batch production of clothes or food or batteries or phones or cameras. Consider Samsung with their Galaxy Notes and I guess the battery issues that they're experiencing there. They had to be able to find those lot numbers, a lot of that batteries that was malfunctioning. Okay, so Odoo has the capacity to manage these lots, ensuring compliance with traceability requirements imposed by the majority of industries. Double entry management in Odoo inventory enables us to run very advanced traceability that we'll be able to touch on today. Okay, let's finally begin. Enough talking here. Okay, so first let's do a brief overview how traceability gets configured in our Odoo application. Let's go into inventory first and foremost. Simply need to go to configuration, then settings, Then here in our traceability section, let's see, here's traceability. Let's see, you can activate the options of lots and serial numbers as well as expiration dates. So if you wanted to keep expiration dates on the items that have lots and serial numbers, so basically the batches that you're bringing in, you can go ahead and hit those checkboxes here. Make sure you click save on the way out and it'll bring us back to our main apps dashboard. So that's how we're going to activate the traceability that we'll use today. Okay. So we'll just save and let's go right back into our inventory app. All right. So now we'll have some new functionality that is available for us. So here, for example, in our inventory control tab, we'll see we have lots and serial numbers available, and we'll be sure to touch back on this at the very end. Basically, we can go in and track and see the locations of any of our lots and serial numbers just by clicking in here. Also, on the product level, we'll see that we now have different traceability options that are available there. I made it easier on us today for reference sake. The internal reference number actually tells us how we're going to be tracking. So anything with an L, of course, is going to be tracked with a lot. An N means we're not tracking, and then an S means a serial number. But let's see. Let me just click in on a product. For example, our digital camera, our finished product here. This is the actual product we're going to manufacture today. And to go ahead and activate the different traceability options, just by going to our inventory tab here, we can go ahead and click edit. And as you can see, we have this tracking section here. So I'm going to track this one by unique serial number. Again, we can do by lots or no tracking at all. So just go ahead and specify there. And then how this product will be handled throughout our other apps will definitely be corresponding to this setting here. So we're going to manufacture this product. So we're going to go ahead and manufacture these to stock. We'll go one by one with these here. And let me just show you what our bill of materials looks like, just so this will make a little bit more sense here as we're working through. Okay, so just accessing our finished product. Let's go ahead and click in here. So as you can see, here we are in our bill of materials. We, of course, can see each of the components that goes into this build. So just one of each here. Here's all of their quantities. And then we can see exactly when they'll be consumed in the operations within our routing. So we set the camera route here. This will touch on different work centers. Basically, a sequence of work orders will be created corresponding to the operations of drilling, assembly, then our final assembly. And we're going ahead and specifying exactly where each of our components is going to be consumed within those operations. If I wanted to see, there's actually a sub-assembly process with this one here. The lens has its own assembly process. As you can see, that is also serialized. What we can do, we can simply go to print here and print out our bill of materials structure to see the entire sub-assembly process as well. So getting a multi-level bill of materials. Let's see, it actually opened up on another screen here. Let me pull this over for you guys. So as you can see, we have a multi-level bill of materials. We, of course, can see our digital camera. This is our finished product here. Here's its bill of materials. And then here's our lens, which has a sub-assembly. So seeing those different levels here, our lens being made up of a lens cap, optics, and a focus ring. Okay. So let me go ahead and clear this off now. And let's go ahead, let's purchase and receive some components. So that'll be the first step. That's actually when we're going to specify the lots here. So let me just go ahead. I'm going to track back now to my products. Let's go ahead and see how many we have on hand of each of our products here. Let's see, it looks like we're going to need some of our lithium batteries here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and click in on our lithium batteries, and I'm going to set a reordering rule on this product here. So let's see. In order to activate reordering rules and make sure they work properly, we need to make sure that our route is set to buy, and we need to make sure that we have a vendor associated with this product as well. So we have digital displays here. Of course, when we actually do run these reordering rules, the information that we input on this vendor will auto-populate into the purchase order that's going to be drafted for us. So as you can see, we can specify the vendor here. Of course, if the vendor references this product differently than we do with a different product name or different product code, we can go ahead and enter those values here. These will automatically populate in, again, to that drafted purchase order. But just to note, we're just setting a vendor here. We're also setting a price. This information will show up when we set this reordering rule here. Okay, so let me go ahead and save this in, and let's create our reordering rule. So just going into more here and clicking in. And let's go ahead and create. Okay. So let's see. For some items you hold in stock, it might be useful to have these rules, just making sure that you never run out of stocks. For example, these can be products with a high demand. These could be large items that require a lot of storage space, meaning they're harder to stock. So these could be some useful use cases for you. Odoo allows you to set these rules so that an automatic replenishment for those items is made based on these minimum stock levels and the minimum stocks that are available here for these products. So basically all we have to do is come in and specify a minimum quantity of this. So let's say I always want to make sure I have, say, 50 of my batteries in stock at any given time. And let's say we want to have a maximum of, say, 200. So when we go below our minimum here of 50, we're going to replenish back up to 200 and then go ahead and drain from there until we reach 50 again. And then again, it'll automatically restock back up to 200 for us. We can also set these on a warehouse basis or a location basis. So if we have, if we're storing batteries in multiple bins in one warehouse, we can set a reordering rule per location. Also, if we have, multiple warehouses, we can set just the general stock location as a storage location there, and then, of course, just set another rule for that warehouse. Okay, so basically how these work, once this is saved in, how this will work is basically each night at midnight or every 24 hours, the system is going to run these reordering rules automatically. So if we're below our minimum quantities here, we will go ahead and automatically generate a PO to get us back up to our maximum here. So again, we don't have to run these manually. For the sake of the demo today, I'm definitely going to click to run these schedulers manually now, just so that they'll hit in our sake. So let's go ahead and run these schedulers. And again, the system's actually referencing the forecasted quantity of this product. So just one thing to note, if we already had, say, 100 of our lithium-ion batteries associated with the manufacturing process or associated with a delivery order or a sale had been made that included these, basically the forecasted quantity here would change. So we would go ahead and reference this with our reordering rule. So this could be in the negative, for example. The reordering rule would reference that and actually purchase more to get us back up to our maximum there. But okay, since I went ahead and just ran these manually now, I should be able to trace over to my purchase app. I should have a PO that has been drafted for me there. Let's see. So just clicking in on purchases. Perfect. So we have a PO number 5 here, to our vendor digital displays. So let's click in here. And it actually gives us the source document for this. So this is the actual reordering rule here, the OP number 2. And as you can see, it went ahead and added in our batteries. So it added in the batteries, the quantity of 200, the unit price of $6 here. And as you can see, there were some other products here that were already drafted in a purchase order. So basically, if your business likes to, for example, make purchases one day a week, say at the end of the week, we build a large list and then send over to our vendor. This will actually, if we have multiple reordering rules hitting, this document here, this drafted purchase order we're looking at, it will actually go ahead and add in more line items as we need to. So if we go ahead, we of course can edit this document. We can add in some other items if the need be. I'll go ahead and leave this blank for now. And let's say these quantities look good here. So getting 12 of our lens caps, 15 of our display panels, and 200 of our batteries. Let's just go ahead and save this in. So right now, this can be considered a request for quotation. It could also be considered a drafted purchase order. If you actually wanted to send this over to our vendor as an RFQ and get pricing back for each of these items, we of course could do so just by clicking Send RFQ by email. That would go ahead and include the products, of course their description, the scheduled date we'd like to receive those products, and the quantity, and we're asking for pricing, so it's not going to have our pricing field on there. So we can go ahead and send this over, but in our case, we already have pricing set with our vendor, so we're good to go. We already know how much everything costs. So I'm just going to jump ahead and confirm the order here. So now that I've confirmed, I could send this as a PO via email over to my vendor. So I'll just go ahead and click that now. It's going to attach this PO as a PDF right down here. And again, this email template is going to auto-populate in with information. So there's our vendor's name there. Here's our PO number, of course, and then the grand total of the purchase order. But let me just go ahead. I'll send this over now. Okay, so we've ordered our products. Now, as you can see, once we confirm that RFQ into a PO, we now have items to receive through the shipment here. We also have vendor bills that we can pay. So let's go ahead, let's receive these products. This is where our lot numbers are going to come into play. We'll actually be specifying the lot number of those batteries. Okay, so let's see. Here's our warehouse incoming document number 5. So this is, or can be considered a receipt document. We would go ahead and validate this once we actually receive the items into our warehouse. So let's see, let's try to validate this now. It says some products require lots or serial numbers, so you need to specify those first. So the system recognizes this error and is telling you, hey, we need more information in the system in order to process this document. So what we need to do, let's click Edit here. And as you can see, our battery is the only item that we're actually tracking here. Each of our lens cap and our display panel are not actually tracked. But our batteries, and you can see that they have a different button that's right over here for the lot split. So we can come in and specify the lot of these now. So let's go ahead and add in a lot number. And let's say all 200 of these are associated with one lot. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to say LB, we'll call this LB002. And we can specify how many of the batteries are associated with this lot. So if there are multiple lots in one shipment, absolutely could do so. I'll just associate all of these here with this one lot number. So once I save this in, looks good there. I'm just going to come in and specify that I received the remainder of my display panel. Let's say my lens caps did not come in. So let's say those didn't arrive as of yet. I can still tell the system, I'll save this in and validate, and the system will catch this discrepancy here. It says you've processed less products than the initial demand. Create a back order if you expect to process the remaining products later, or do not create a back order if we're not going to supply the remaining products. So basically, if I'm going to receive those final 12 and I want to tell the system that, I can create the back order here. If I'm going to cancel the order for the final 12, I can say no back order and it'll set this completely to done. But let's say I create the back order here. What it's going to do, it's going to set this document to done. And then if I trace back to the PO, we'll actually have one more shipment to go ahead and receive. So now we're up to 2 here. So we just processed receipt number 5. We now have receipt number 6, which is a back order of receipt number 5. So it should be for the remainder of the items there. So we can easily just come in and receive these final 12. So let's save and validate. Okay. So tracking back, of course, we can see all the transfers that are associated here with our PO. Let me go back into receipt number 5 because we have this traceability button that opened up. And that's really the goal of what I wanted to show you guys today. As far as the products that we just brought in, this is the first step as far as traceability goes. We can see the lot of these lithium batteries that have been brought in, and then of course see the transfer that brought them in. So I guess this is the first layer that we're going to see as we touch on traceability as we go through today. Once we go through manufacturing, we'll be able to actually see this information there. Then even further, once we actually make the sale and deliver the items, we'll be able to see this information there as well. So let's keep track of our lot here, LB002, and let's keep track of also this receipt document here. So we can trace all of this information back. But we will see this info as we work through today. Okay, let's see. So now that we have received these items in, let's go ahead and track back to our main dashboard and let's go through a manufacturing process. Let's actually build this out here, build out our finished product. So let's go into manufacturing here. Of course, as far as manufacturing goes, a lot of information in just this app alone. My colleague Brett has a webinar. We could share the link there probably in the chat at the end today that really dives into each of the work centers, the routings, even master production schedules. He really goes in depth as far as our manufacturing suite of applications. So that's why I wanted to focus on the traceability today. If you guys do have questions, of course, in the Q&A, we can dive into those things. But for the sake of time, really gonna kind of speed through the manufacturing process, just show you where we're going to be specifying the different lots and serial numbers here. Okay, so let's look at our operations really quick. Just want to go into our manufacturing orders. So as you can see, these are all of the manufacturing orders that we have to do. There are none here. If I wanted to see any past manufacturing orders, I can simply clear off that filter, and now I can see the manufacturing processes that occurred in the past here. So as you can see, we already manufactured our lenses here, where we specified the lots of items that went into that build. And we can easily come in and see the traceability that occurred here. So once this manufacturing process was done, we can click in on this upstream and downstream traceability. Here's 5 different lenses that are all serialized, and here's each of their serial numbers. Within there, we of course can see the manufacturing orders that went in and see each of the items that took place and each of the items that went in to this manufacturing order. So here's items that are even lot number associated, and we can see the lot of that component. So there's our optics, which had a lot there. This is, again, just the sub-assembly process of our lenses. We'll actually see and use one of these serial numbers once we go through here today to build our finished product. So let's go back. We'll track back to our manufacturing orders here. Let's go ahead and create one here on the fly. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my product now of our digital camera. This is our finished product, and I'm just going to do one for the sake of this demo today. So let me go ahead. I'm going to save this in here. Okay. So once I save, as you can see, our manufacturing order auto-populates in here with all of the components that are going to go into the build. So I can now go ahead and check their availability. As you can see, everything went from red to black. So our quantity available is equal to our quantity to consume. So we're all ready to go there. Now all we need to do is plan this out. So let's go ahead and plan our work orders. So our 3 work orders have been created based on the routing that we set here on our camera route. Let's go ahead and process these work orders. Here on the work orders is where we're actually going to specify the lots of the products going in to the build. Okay, so the first work order to process is our drilling here. Let's go ahead and click in. One thing to note here, I didn't actually add in a large description or basically the work instructions here at this step. You can go ahead and attach PDFs directly through here. They'll actually be shown directly on this screen here. One thing to note, if I wanted to print out my work orders, I'm simply just going to hit Control P right now on this screen. So this is just a print screen here, but this will have all of the information on each of the tabs that are associated here. So of course we have our current production. Of course, if we had time tracking, we could go ahead and see that here. No values have been set for that as well at this point. And then of course our miscellaneous. So as we're working through, if we needed to print this out for any reason, we can just hit our Control P there. And we can even see the chatter down below. So if we were logging messages back and forth between users, we of course would see those here as well. But just one thing to note, if we needed to print this out, a simple Control P will get that information out of the system. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll start working here. And again, we would have our instructions at this step. But let's see, we need to specify the serial number. Basically, the current lot here is what this field's called. We need to specify the serial number of our finished product. So let's see. Again, we're time tracking here, as you can see. Miscellaneous will just tell us the work order, work center, and manufacturing order that we're working on. But let's see, if I click Edit here, I need to specify my serial number. And I'm actually going to create and edit a new one. And this will auto-populate in here with a serial number for me. If I was using expiration dates, this is where I would come in and specify. So if I have a best before date, I can come in and enter that here. For the sake of a digital camera, though, I don't think that will expire, at least not in my books. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this in. Not going to associate any end-of-life date or anything like that for this. Let me just go ahead and save this in for now. So again, just specifying the serial number that we're working on this particular work order. So let's just go ahead and save. And let's see here, going back to our work orders. So you can see our drilling is finished. Let's now go into assembly and let's start working. As you can see, since we're moving in sequence here, we already have the serial number associated, serial number 8. And we can see the products. Here's our components that are actually going into this build at this work center on this work order. We just need to come in and specify the lot for the battery, the serial number for the lens, and we can go ahead and do so right through here. So this drop-down list will actually include all of the lot numbers associated with this component. So let's go ahead, we'll use the lot of the items we just brought in. So there's LB002, and let's go ahead and specify a serial number of the lens that we're working with. So I'm going to use number 3 here. Okay, so let's save and set this one to done. So we're all done with our time tracking. Again, noting each of the components. And now let's go on to that final work order here. Okay, so we'll start working again. We'd have our detailed instructions here. We have our current lot here, and of course time tracking at this step as well. So it looks good. Looks like we don't have any components to go ahead and specify at this step. So let me go ahead, I'll set this to done for now. So it looks good, we're all finished here. If we track back to our work orders, we can see all 3 are now in the finished stage. We track back to our manufacturing order here. Let's go ahead and mark this as done, and this will go ahead and give us that traceability so we can see all of the components that went in, even down to the subassembly that went into this manufacturing process. So let's go ahead and click in here on our traceability. And let's open this up here for our digital camera. So there's the serial number of our camera. Here's the manufacturing order that went into building this serial number. Let's open that up a step further now. So now we can see each of the components that went in. So as you can see, the serialized lens, there's the serial number of that. The lot number specific lithium battery, we of course can see that as well. So let's open up the traceability for that lens, which has a manufacturing order of its own here. So let's open up manufacturing order 1, and now we can see all of the components that went into manufacturing order 1, even down to the lot of the optics that went into this lens. So let's open up the lithium ion battery here. We can see the lot that went into this battery. And then of course, there's that warehouse incoming number 5. So this is receipt document number 5. This was the document we processed to actually bring this into our stock here. So if we needed to track down to that level, we can click in and actually access that information here. even seeing the PO that went into purchasing this lot when we received it. So of course, if we needed to trace this purchase order, we could always copy paste this over into our purchase app and actually find that PO there. But again, using the breadcrumbs here of the system, we can easily trace back here to our traceability. And now let's track back here to our manufacturing order, and this one's all complete here. So let's go ahead, we'll remember the serial number 8, and we'll go ahead and make a sale of our digital camera. We'll deliver this to our customer, and then we'll be able to trace that serial number to that actual customer. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to our main dashboard here, and let's go into our sales app. Okay, so to go ahead and process the sale, I'm just going to start with a quotation and create. Okay, let's go ahead and give this to one of our customers. I'll just use one of our existing customers we have in the system, James Garcia here, and let's go ahead and add a product. So let's go ahead and sell our digital camera and just 1 unit. So let's go ahead and save this in, and let's confirm the sale. Okay, so in the similar logic that we're working with as far as the purchases goes, once we confirm, we then have inventory operations that need to take place. So remembering back to our purchasing side, when we confirm there, we then had a receipt to process. Same thing goes, same logic is built into our sales app. Once we confirm a quotation into a sale order, we now have one delivery to go ahead and process, and of course an invoice that we can create. But let's just go ahead, we'll deliver these goods now to our customer, James. So let's click in on this delivery here. And let's go ahead and process. And again, we have that same icon here where we need to specify our serial number. So if we go ahead and try to validate this without specifying, the system will catch this error for us. Some products require lot serial numbers. We need to specify those first. Okay, so let's click edit here. Let's go ahead and specify our serial number 8. Let's see, it looks like it's requesting number 7. Let's see if we can click it and make a change here. So as you can see, this is a drop down of all the serial numbers that we still have in stock. So let's go ahead and use 8. And let's save. Oops, let's see, might have missed a step there. Let me click back in. Here's 8. We just need to click the plus sign here. There we go. Now we're at 1 of 1. Okay, let's save. Let's save this in and validate now. Basically, we just told the system we just delivered the delivery of our digital camera here, serial number 8, to our customer, James Garcia. Okay, so let's go back into our inventory tab now. Let's say, for example, something went wrong with those batteries. We need to do a recall of those batteries. They're overheating too quickly if you leave them plugged in for too long. There was something wrong with that lot. So what we can do, we can go ahead and find this lot. So let's go ahead and go into our inventory tab here. Let's find our LB002 because those batteries are malfunctioning. So we can go in, we can find this lot here. Of course, you can see the product it's associated with, and I'm sure, once we have a lot more data in the system, this could get a little bit cumbersome. So what we can do, we'll do a group by product here. So of course, we know it's our battery that's having the issue. Now it's a little bit easier to find those lots that are associated with that product. So let's go into our LB002. And as you can see, we can actually locate. We can also do traceability, so we can see all of the manufacturing orders that are associated with this lot. So just diving in here, seeing the MO, as well as the warehouse incoming document here. So as you can see, we have one that came in through our receipt number 5. We also had 199 that also came in through receipt number 5. And then we have the MO that this actually was a part of. So we, of course, can click in on this manufacturing order, see the traceability as well, even a step further, of this actual camera. But let's see, let's track back here. So we'll go back to the MO, back to the traceability here. And now let's actually locate these. So let's locate all of the batteries that are associated with this lot. So we can click in, as you can see, we have one that's at our partner location, or virtual locations here. And we also have 199 that are still in our stock. So we can click in here, and of course see the transfer that brought these in. Same thing goes here, let's click in. And as you can see, we have 1 unit that actually left our inventory here. So let's see, let's go ahead and click in on this. And again, we can see the manufacturing order that this went into. So all set to go there. So once we find this manufacturing order as an example, we can click in here. We can find the serial number of course, that digital camera that we built. So let's actually track back here. Let's go into our quants. Let's actually find this here. Okay. See our traceability. Let's see this all the way through to our customer. So MO number 3. Let's find the serial number of this finished product. So it's serial number 8. So let's go back into inventory control. Let's look into our lots and serial numbers. Let's find serial number 8 there. So again, we'll group by our products. Let's look in at our digital camera here. Here's serial number 8. Again, as you can see, went to our customers, partner locations there. Let's locate this and see the information that's here. Okay. Diving in, we have our warehouse outbound number 1. So this is delivery document number 1. We can see exactly who this went to if we go to this document now. So let's trace there, see if we can click in here. Perfect. So as you can see, we know exactly which customer got this serial number of this digital camera, which included the defective lot of batteries. So now we can contact our customer. Let's click in on James Garcia. We have his contact info in the system. We made the sale to him. Oops. So we, of course, we can now send him an email. We, of course, can give him a call and say, hey, there's a recall on your product. Send out a mass mail to anyone who has that lot number of batteries. Make sure that they know that there's a recall on that product. Get those back in our stock and get that malfunction fixed. Okay. I think that covers it as far as the entire supply chain goes. All the way from vendor to customer, we can track a lot that goes into a manufacturing order, that goes into a serial number of a manufacturing order, and find that actual customer who received that serial number, track down the malfunctioning product there.
Wow. All right. Well, that's quite a lot of info. Thanks for sharing that with us, Nate. A lot of information about traceability. You can make sure that you can track everything. So, I actually came up with a handful of questions. We got one from the community. So Danny 3241291 asked, can a product defined as a service be stockable? I have a client that provides me his material, but we are going to rework his material in one step. But we stock it so we can send it back. We classify this process as a service.
Let's see. Sense? The product is defined. Let me see. I can actually read these questions here. Let me reread that one. Let's see. Okay. Easier. Product be defined as a service, be stockable. I have a client that provides me his material, then we rework his material in one step, but we stock it so we can send it back. We classify this process as a service. Understand that process is a service as far as charging that person. So totally understand there. But as far as when you guys have those items, I guess I'd have a lot of follow-up questions for this one before I give a clear answer. But when he sends those items over to you, I guess we would have to differentiate the items before we actually go through any sort of manufacturing process, because there's going to be some sort of change, and we'd likely want to know, how many we have in our stock before we've gone through the rework, and then how many we have after the rework. So I'd recommend keeping this process as a formal manufacturing flow. Of course, we can charge him as a service. We could have a service product that kind of relates to this that we're charging him for. But again, we'd be receiving in, the item. We'd go through the rework or go through the manufacturing process that makes it a new item. So then we can track on both sides of things, how many we have before and how many we have after. So I guess that would be my recommendation. I'm sure there's a lot more info in between, but I'd say to have the most information in the system, I'd say keep it stockable, sell them a service that can then trigger the processes from that point on by using, make to orders and things of that nature.
Okay, cool. Well, let me see if I can answer this. Okay, cool. So, here we go. Sorry about that. All right, well, Danny said cool, thanks. So hopefully that helped. Now we've got the next question. Do barcode scans automatically update the system? Like, let's say that you were, shipping it to one major warehouse for distribution and then onto wholesaling. Would it be able to automatically update?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. I can actually show you what this would look like here on screen. Let's see. If I go into inventory, I'm going to give, let's say my finished product. Let's go into our camera since we have one more in stock here. And I'm going to give this a barcode. So I'm just going to, and of course, if we had an actual barcode, if we scan right here while the cursor is in this field, it'll actually populate in there. But I'm just going to enter in some info here. So let's say that's our barcode, actual numeric code there. I, of course, can print out our product labels. So if I actually wanted to make labels here, absolutely could do so. Let me see what this looks like. Drag this to the screen here. So, of course, out of the box, at least what this looks like, we'll have the barcode that's generated, we'll have the unit price, and then the product name, as well as the internal reference or the SKU number there. And, of course, once we have this, we can copy, paste, or change the stylizing option to actually fit a label printer in case we're printing out a bunch in a batch. We need to stick those on our finished goods. But yeah, I mean, if we're doing any sort of inventory operation, so any transfer, whether it's a receipt, we're bringing items in, or delivery, or even internal transfer, we could actually use barcode scanning at that step. So if I just manually create a delivery order here, let me go ahead and create this. I'll go ahead and say we're delivering one camera to John Smith. So let's see, where is our camera? Let's type it in here. Here's our camera. Let's save it. Let's mark it as to do. We'll check the availability on it. So it is in stock, looks good. Let me actually print this out. So I'm going to print our picking operations out. Let me show you what this document looks like here. Okay, so we have our picking operations. Of course, just this sheet. Very bare bones here, but as far as what it has, of course, it would have your guys' logo, different styling options. I just didn't set those as of yet. But of course, we have our customer address here. We have the actual document we're processing, and we have this barcode here. So this barcode will actually be key for us. We also have the barcode for the product here as well. But basically what we could do, just scanning this barcode here, so this one, let me show you. We're going to actually need our barcode application. So we come into apps here. And I don't have a barcode scanner with me here in the webinar studio. Basically what I could do, let me just go ahead and install this now. So this will bring us back to the dashboard. We'll see that app is there now. And our barcode app's a free app. Definitely helps as far as the inventory operations go. But basically all we would need to do, let's see if we're looking back at this document here. All we need to do is access our barcode app. If we scan this barcode that's associated with this transfer document, it's going to bring us directly to that location in the system. So if we're here, literally on this screen, and we scan that document, where it'll bring us directly here. So we'll be on this object. Let's see. It'll bring us directly to our warehouse outbound number 2, so our delivery document 2, and it'll be in the edit stage just like this. So then all we need to do is scan off our items. So of course we have our digital camera here. We just need to scan the barcode that's associated with this camera, and this will try to populate up with a 1. If we do that scan here, it may even bring up this pop-up here. We just need to specify the serial number and save. And we actually have barcodes for all of these actions here in the top left as well. So we can scan our save barcode. We can then scan our validate barcode. These could be barcodes that we have on a clipboard, for example. And then we've just processed this entire document with very few mouse clicks whatsoever. So the system will navigate us through, again, based on the barcode, just scanning that barcode that's on that document. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's super helpful. I guess next question. Oh, another one from Danny. Hope this question is not dumb, but can we track and print how much time our employee spent doing a process of the work?
Yes.
Is there a way to check out the
Absolutely.
time?
Yeah, so let's see. Of course, if we're in our manufacturing app, so we can do this on a order by order basis. If we just go into our manufacturing orders, let's see, we can actually find that info in the cost analysis. So let's click in here. This is the manufacturing order that we went through. If we look at the cost analysis here, this is going to include, of course, the cost structure of each of the raw materials that went in. But also here in the cost of operations, we can see the time that took place at each step. So, of course, we have the operator, we have the operation, the working time there, and then the cost per hour to get us a total cost of operations. So, yeah, absolutely, it can be found right here in the cost per hour, or not in the cost per hour, I shouldn't say, in the cost analysis, seeing the working time here. So, yeah, we can print this report out just by clicking print. It'll generate a PDF for us.
Cool. And reveal time and information?
Yes.
Okay,
so it'll
perfect.
just exact copy there.
Perfect. Now, another question. Can we associate a purchase order with a manufacturing order?
Yeah, absolutely. So we could actually have POs automatically generated from a manufacturing order. So this could be one way. There's a couple ways that come to mind here. Let's say as an example, we want to operate in this way. So let's say, Todd, you tell me that you want us to build you a custom camera of some sort. So we're going to come in and generate a manufacturing order. And then once we generate that manufacturing order, it'll trigger all the purchase processes that are needed from there. So what we could do, we could come into our products. So let's say, go into our inventory here. Let's go into inventory control and products. And I'll just do this for a few of the items here that are associated with our digital camera. Let's say our camera body, as an example. I'm going to edit this and just change the route of this one. So if I set this as make to order and buy, I believe if I make it manufacture, I might get this wrong here, but let me see. I'm going to save this in. If I go to manufacture a product that uses this, since it is make to order, it should generate a PO for us. So let's see, if I come into manufacturing now, let's go into our manufacturing orders and create. Let's specify our digital camera. Let's save this in. And let's plan this. Let's see if we check availability. Let's plan. Okay, so you can see our camera body, we do not have one in stock is what the system's telling us. So let's see if we trace over to our purchases, we have PO6 that's associated with manufacturing order 4. Here we can see we are now purchasing in one of our camera bodies. Okay, so I got it right. So it's on the routing, yes. We can do a relation in that way as far as source document goes. Another use case of relating a purchase order to a manufacturing order, and I've actually shown this to a few of my customers, is let's say part of the manufacturing process, maybe there's a custom paint job or something that we don't do internally, but we give it to one of our vendors. So we're purchasing a service from someone else that's a part of our manufacturing process. So we'll need these parts painted before we can actually continue and do the last few steps. So basically what we can do is we can relate a work order, let's say, to a purchase order. So I guess in this way, let's see, if I were, for example, I'm gonna get a little bit detailed here. I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna make a new work center. I'm gonna call this purchasing center. Just as an example, we'll call it our PC. Let's save it in here. And I'm gonna change one of our routes. Let's say our digital camera here, our camera route, actually requires a service here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this in. I'm gonna say custom paint job. And this is gonna take place at our purchasing center. So let's save that in, and we're gonna add this in as a step, let's say right after our drilling step. Let's save that in, right? And now I'm actually gonna come in, I'm gonna go back to my bill of materials here for my digital camera, and I'm actually gonna edit this. I'm gonna add in a service product here. So let's create and edit a new product, and I'll just call this a custom paint job. And let's go ahead and specify that this is a service product. And we purchase this service product from a vendor. So we'll say it's from Digital Displays. And let's say this custom paint job costs $100. So let's save that in. And let's go ahead and specify that this is going to be part of the custom paint step in our manufacturing process. So let's save that in. So just adding that to the bill of materials. So now let's say we go back to our manufacturing. Let's go into a manufacturing order and create, let's say, for our digital camera. Save it in. Okay. See, here's all of the actual consumed materials. So these are only going to be either stockable or consumable. But let's see, if we go ahead and let's do one quick, before we actually dive into this and plan this one out, I'm going to go to a work order here, and I'm going to make a new relationship. So I'm going to go ahead and relate a work order to a PO. So we'll be able to create a PO directly from a work order. So let's see, I'm going to come into this RFQ. Let's open up Studio here, and let me go ahead and bring a many to one field directly into this. So this is just making a new relationship. I'm going to relate this to our work order. Let's confirm. Okay. So let's close this out. So now if we're here on the PO side or the RFQ side, we can now specify a work order that's associated with a certain, select a work order that's associated with this RFQ. But now if I go back, let's go back into manufacturing. Let's access a work order, and let's open up Studio on this side. I'm going to add a button up here in the top. And I'll say purchase. Right. So the field I'm going to relate this to is work order. And I'm going to relate this to our work order on a purchase order. So it looks good there. Let's see, I'll actually choose an icon for this as well. Let me confirm. So once it creates the button here, let me go ahead and use our FA dollar icon. That one will make sense for purchases. And let's close this out now. Okay, so now basically on any work order, I can go ahead and generate a PO and associate it to the work order. So now again, if we're going through, let's say we're manufacturing that camera, right? Let's check the availability. Let's go ahead and plan this out. And again, that'll generate the PO for the camera body there. But let's see, we can now access our work orders. Of course, if we go through each of these, let's say we get to the purchasing center now. And let's say we need to go ahead and start working on this and make the purchase. We can now go ahead and generate the PO directly from the work order. So choose digital displays. Let's go ahead and select that service that we're buying from them. Being our custom paint. It'll populate in with the price. Let's save it, confirm it. And of course, when we send over that PO, I'd imagine we can send them over the design that we want, adding in files directly through here. So yeah, that's another way we can kind of relate the manufacturing process to the purchasing process. A couple options there for us.
Awesome. All right. Then we've got another question. I mean, you were kind of getting into the realm of Studio right there. But I guess a more specific question is, how can I use Studio to enhance the work order screen inside of manufacturing?
Right. Okay. So yeah, absolutely. And definitely have had this request for a few customers as well. Coming in, let's see, to our operations. Let's look at our work orders again, and let's see, when we're looking at this work order screen, as far as information that we can have here, there's a lot that can be done with Studio. So just opening up Studio here. I guess first and foremost, what we can do is always attach items in. So we, of course, can use, let's see here, let's bring a file. So let's say we have a file of, for a custom manufacturer, they need to put the designs there. We could go ahead and enter in a file. I can rename this, let's say, design file as an example. So now we can actually attach a document directly to this work order, and this can be different on each work order here. I'm just going to close out Studio now. So now we have this. We can click Edit, upload a file directly through here. Let's see. We could also go ahead and utilize some checkboxes. So let's say there's some steps that we want to make sure have been completed on this work order here. We can go ahead and drag and drop in, let's say, a couple checkboxes. So we have 1, we have 2, and then, of course, just renaming this. So let's say, I'm not sure what would be an example for this one. Let's say, for example, we want to double check and make sure that bolts are tight, as an example. So we can go ahead and just make sure that these checkboxes have been set before we move on to the next work order. So yeah, I guess, and then of course using the purchases tab in case we needed to link a work order basically to any other object in Odoo, we can do so in a very similar fashion to I showed before. So yeah.
Awesome. I guess, thanks again for that. Well, how can I configure Odoo to compute my product cost based on its bill of materials?
Okay, that's a great question. It is possible. Requires a little bit of setup though. So yeah, basically I think what you're asking is if we are having our finished product, say our digital camera for example, we want to compute the cost in our accounting or in our inventory module, compute the cost of that based on all of the costs of the components that go into the build. Let's go ahead and do that now. So all we need to do, let's go into our apps app first. There's actually a module we need to install. We can search it by looking up product extension. Let's do a search there and let's clear off our apps filter. So it looks like we already installed this one here, product extension to track sales and purchases. So it looks good. We're all installed there. And now I actually need to come in and edit my personal user access rights. So I'm actually going to activate the developer mode here, and this is getting a little bit more on the technical side. But let's open this up. So now we're in our debug mode. Let's go back into our settings here, and let's look at our users. And I'll select myself. And let's see, if we scroll on down here, let's see, I think what we need to activate is manage inventory valuation based on costing methods. Okay. So there's our costing methods there. Let's just hit that checkbox and save. So now let's see, let's go back into let's go into inventory. Let's go to inventory control and products. Let's set the cost first on our lens, because that one has its own manufacturing process. There we go. So we can compute the cost from the BOM, so from the bill of materials, and there's the total cost there. So let's apply. So again, this is taking into account the cost of each of the components. And now let's see, if we go back to our products, we can do the same thing on our digital camera now. It'll take into account the cost of that lens as well. So now we can compute this from the bill of materials. Perfect, $199.48, and apply. Nice. So yes, that's how to set it up. Just go to apps, make sure we have that product extension module, and then of course developer mode, settings, go to yourself as a user, and manage the inventory valuation and costing method.
Cool. We got one more question from Danny.
Yeah.
Is there a way to lock the start working button if the work order is waiting for materials?
Is there a way to unlock the start working button or
lock it? Yeah, so prevent
it.
it. So basically, like if the order's not ready to go yet.
Let's see.
Or if you're waiting for materials, is there a way to stop that?
Is there a way to stop that process? It is possible. I believe that one would require us to make a server action, or basically develop those contingencies for you. So yeah, it is possible. As far as me showing here, I don't think it's as simple as a configuration there.
Sure.
So we would have to develop that contingency for you using our technical team here.
Awesome. Well, makes sense. Got one last question then for you. How does automatic restocking work exactly? So, like, let's say, just kind of like illustrated the way that it would work if like, for example, we were to run out of something.
Mm-hmm.
Who would get notified? How would it work? Would there be an email trigger and a request to the vendor? What would happen?
Okay. So let's see, if we come into our purchases here, it's going to automatically generate just a request for quotation. So it's going to generate a drafted PO, basically, that we'll need to manually confirm. So it's not going to automatically send anything to vendor. It's just going to draft this and basically tell you, hey, we need to actually purchase this in. So let's see, I guess if I'm the purchasing manager, what I would do personally, I'd come into our apps here. I'd go to my dashboard, and I would actually install this here just to make my life a little bit easier. This is one way that I can double check and see if any reordering rules have been hit. So let me go ahead and install this in. So let's see. So this is just one easy way, I guess, tips and tricks to make it simple on us, to let us know that a reordering rule has been hit. But again, as far as setting these reordering rules, just need to go to our products here. Let's see. So we set one on our batteries before. We can come in. Let's double check on this. So we're just setting minimum and maximum levels basically. So if we go below a minimum here, the system will recognize this. And again, we're just referencing the forecasted quantity. So as you can see, we're forecasted 197 here. Looks like we have 2 that are associated with manufacturing orders already. So we're forecasted to be down at 197 in the near future once that manufacturing process is complete. So the system will reference this. If we're below our minimum here, if this forecasted quantity is below the minimum, it'll automatically generate a RFQ, so just a drafted PO for us. So if I'm the purchasing manager and I want to be notified of this, what I can do is add those RFQs to my dashboard. So let's say, as an example, we can come in, and let me note a few things on this, on how we can actually filter through this info. If I look at my reordering rules here, the name of these reordering rules has an OP in it every time, right? So I guess what I can do, if I wanted to just add all of the RFQs that have been generated from reordering rules to my dashboard, what I could do, I could come into my purchases here. Let's see, we don't have one here to actually add. Let me go ahead and make a new reordering rule here that'll hit for us. Let's say we need more than 200 display panels in stock at any given time. So let me set that up here, because that'll catch for us. Let's create. Let's say minimum's 200, max is 5. So let's save it. So again, these will run each night at midnight automatically. We're going to reference the minimum quantity versus the forecasted quantity, but I'll run it now manually here. And now let's trace over here to our purchases. So as you can see, we now have a PO, a drafted PO has been created here to get us back up to that maximum of 500. So again, if I want to be notified of this, what I can do, I can filter through this list, and let's say the source document as an example, I'll say contains OP and then the slash. So let's apply this. So again, this will show me any draft PO, so any RFQ that is from the source document of a reordering rule. So once I have this saved in, I can go ahead and save this and add this to my dashboard. So I'll say RFQs from reorder. Let's add that in. So now each day I come to my Odoo, get to the office in the morning, I can just come to my dashboards now, and now I can see all the new RFQs that are here from my reordering rules. So yeah, I guess those are some tools just to make sure and get notified each time a reordering rule will hit.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. Well, I think, that pretty much sums up the Q&A. If you guys have any more questions, you can always direct them to events@odoo.com, and we can answer them there.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. And if you would like to see any more videos like this, just make sure that you click subscribe and then tune in every Wednesday at the same time. Cool.
Also, you can schedule a one-on-one session with me as well. Just go to odoo.com/r/Nathan. That goes directly to my calendar. Just choose an hour that works best for you. We can do Q&A sessions and continue kind of more personalized session then.
Perfect. Yeah, and that link is also in the description. So if you want to just go ahead and click that there. Perfect. And as mentioned, you guys subscribe, follow us, like us. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook, and also subscribe here, and you can get additional email updates on new webinars that are coming out in the not too distant future. Well, thank you guys for joining us. To all of our fellow community members around the world, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. This is Odoo signing off.